Do-hyun's eyes burned as he stared at the computer screen. The numbers blurred together after 16 straight hours of research. His small apartment in Seoul felt stuffy and warm. Outside the window, the city lights twinkled in the darkness of 3 a.m. He pushed back from his desk and stumbled toward the bedroom. His body ached with exhaustion. The astrophysics data would have to wait until morning. Right now, he needed sleep more than anything else in the world. Do-hyun didn't bother with pajamas. He was too tired. He fell onto the bed and pulled the thin sheet over himself. Within seconds, his breathing slowed. His mind drifted into darkness. Sleep took him completely. The blue light came without warning. At first, it seemed like part of a dream, a soft glow that filled the room with strange colors. But then the humming started, a deep mechanical sound that made his teeth vibrate. Do-hyun tried to open his eyes. He couldn't. His body refused to move. Panic flooded through him. He wanted to scream, but his mouth wouldn't open. His arms and legs felt like stone. The blue light grew brighter and brighter until it burned through his closed eyelids. The humming became a roar. His entire body felt weightless, like he was floating in water. Then everything went black. When Do-hyun woke up, everything felt wrong. The bed beneath him wasn't soft. It was hard and cold like glass. The air smelled strange like metal and something sweet he couldn't identify. His head pounded with a dull ache. He opened his eyes slowly. Above him, a curved ceiling made of some translucent material glowed with soft white light. He could see shapes moving beyond it, shadows that didn't look quite right. Do-hyun sat up quickly and immediately regretted it. His head spun. He looked down at himself and realized he was completely naked. The sheet from his bed was gone. Everything was gone. He sat in a chamber made of clear walls that rose about 2 meters high. Beyond his chamber, he could see dozens more. Each one held a person. All of them were naked. All of them were unconscious. Men and women of different ages lay motionless in their glass prisons. Do-hyun's heart raced. Where was he? What happened? He stood on shaky legs and pressed his hands against the clear wall. It felt smooth and cold. He pushed hard, but it didn't move. He was trapped. They were all trapped. The room around the chambers was enormous. The walls curved in strange angles that hurt to look at. Lights pulsed in patterns along the ceiling. Equipment that made no sense covered the walls. Nothing looked human. Nothing looked like Earth technology. Movement caught his eye. On the far side of the room, figures appeared. Do-hyun's breath caught in his throat. They weren't human. They couldn't be human. The creatures stood on 4 legs but had 2 more limbs that functioned like arms. Their bodies were covered in dark shell-like armor. Their heads were triangular with multiple eyes that glowed with a faint green light. They moved with quick, jerking motions that reminded Do-hyun of insects. 3 of them approached a control panel near the chambers. They made clicking and chirping sounds to each other. One of them touched the panel and symbols appeared in the air above it. The symbols meant nothing to Do-hyun. They looked like abstract art more than writing. The creatures studied the symbols. One of them pointed at the chambers with a thin, jointed limb. It made a series of rapid clicks. The others responded with their own sounds. They seemed to be discussing something. Discussing the humans. Do-hyun pressed himself against the back of his chamber. Terror gripped his chest. These were aliens. Real aliens. And they had taken him. They had taken all these people. But why? What did they want? One of the aliens moved closer to Do-hyun's chamber. Its multiple eyes focused on him. It tilted its head in a way that seemed curious. It made a soft chirping sound and touched something on its arm. A device of some kind beeped in response. The alien studied Do-hyun for a long moment. Then it turned back to the others. More clicking and chirping. They seemed excited about something. One of them gestured toward all the chambers. The word specimens popped into Do-hyun's mind even though he didn't understand their language. That's what they were. Specimens, collections, things to be studied. His scientific mind tried to process this rationally. He was aboard an alien ship. These creatures had abducted humans from Earth for what purpose? Research, exhibition? He thought about all the stories of alien abductions he'd heard. He never believed them. Now he was living one. The other humans in the chambers began to stir. Do-hyun could see them starting to wake up. A woman in the chamber next to his opened her eyes. She looked around in confusion. Then she saw the aliens and screamed. The sound was muffled by the chamber walls, but Do-hyun could still hear it. More people woke up. More screams filled the room. The aliens didn't seem concerned. They continued their work at the control panels. Occasionally, one would look at the panicking humans with what might have been curiosity, or maybe amusement. It was impossible to tell with faces so alien. Do-hyun forced himself to stay calm. Panicking wouldn't help. He needed to think. He needed to understand the situation. He looked around his chamber carefully. No visible doors or openings. The walls were seamless. The floor was the same material as the walls. Above him, the ceiling of the chamber was also clear. He could see the curved ceiling of the larger room beyond. Suddenly, the entire ship shuddered. The smooth humming that Do-hyun had barely noticed changed pitch. It became a whine. The lights flickered. The aliens stopped what they were doing. Their heads snapped toward something Do-hyun couldn't see. An alarm blared. The sound was alien, but the meaning was universal. Something was wrong. Very wrong. The aliens scrambled toward exits. They moved with surprising speed on their four legs. Within seconds, all three had disappeared through doorways that opened in the walls. The doorways sealed behind them. Do-hyun and the other humans were left alone. The ship shuddered again. This time harder. Do-hyun was thrown against the wall of his chamber. Around him, other people were screaming. The lights went from white to red. The alarm continued its terrible wailing. What was happening? Were they under attack? Was the ship malfunctioning? Do-hyun pressed his face against the chamber wall and tried to see more of the room. He needed to find a way out. They all needed to find a way out. The ship lurched violently. Do-hyun heard a sound like breaking glass. He looked up and saw cracks forming in the ceiling of his chamber. The clear material was failing. Around the room, other chambers showed the same cracks. Then, with a sound like thunder, all the chambers shattered at once. The glass fell away like rain. Do-hyun covered his head as pieces scattered across the floor. The red alarm lights painted everything in blood colors. Around him, over 50 naked humans stumbled out of their broken chambers. Everyone was confused. Everyone was terrified. What's happening? A young woman shouted. She had short dark hair and looked around wildly. Where are we? Alien ship, Do-hyun said. His voice sounded steadier than he felt. We've been abducted, but something's attacking the ship. Another violent shake threw people to the floor. Do-hyun grabbed onto a piece of equipment bolted to the wall. He watched as a section of the curved wall split open. Smoke poured through the crack. The smell of burning electronics filled the air. We need to move. A woman pushed through the crowd. She was tall and moved with purpose. Despite being naked like everyone else, she carried herself like a soldier. Staying here will get us killed. Who are you? Someone asked. Myre Park. I was in the military. She pointed at the doorways the aliens had used. We go that way. Find clothes, find weapons, find a way off this ship. We don't know what's out there, an older man protested. We know what's in here. Death. Myre started toward the nearest door. Anyone who wants to live, follow me. Do-hyun followed. So did most of the others. They moved as a group through the doorway. It led to a corridor that curved in impossible angles. The walls were the same translucent material. Through them, Do-hyun could see stars. Actual stars in space. His mind reeled. He was really in space. Really on an alien ship. The corridor branched in multiple directions. Myre chose the widest path. They walked quickly through the strange ship. The alarm continued its wailing. The red lights flashed. Every few seconds, the ship shuddered from impacts. Look, a young man pointed ahead. He had an intelligent face and was studying everything with intense focus. That room has equipment. They entered a large bay filled with strange objects. Containers were stacked against the walls. Equipment hung from racks. Nothing looked familiar, but some things were clearly clothing. Other things were obviously weapons. Grab whatever fits, Myre ordered. She was already pulling on a suit made of flexible silver material. It adjusted to her body automatically. We need to be ready for anything. Do-hyun found a dark blue suit. When he touched it, the material flowed over his skin like liquid. Within seconds, it formed a perfect fit. The material was comfortable despite being alien. He saw symbols appear on a panel on the wrist, but he couldn't read them. Others were dressing quickly. Some found suits that were too big or small. A few suits didn't work at all. But most people managed to cover themselves. The panic in the group decreased slightly. Being clothed made them feel less vulnerable. The young man who had spotted the room approached Do-hyun. I'm Taejin Cho, I'm an engineer. He held up a device that looked like a combination of a tablet and a weapon. This is incredible. The interface is responding to my touch, look. He pressed something and symbols appeared above the device. They shifted and changed. It's learning from me. The technology is adaptive. I think I can figure this out. We need weapons, Mirai said. She had found several rod-like objects that hummed with energy. These looked like they might shoot something. A young woman joined them. She had kind eyes despite the terror of their situation. I'm Yunahan, medical student. Are people hurt? Some bruises from the chambers breaking, Doyun said. Nothing serious yet. Yet, Yuna repeated quietly. Another massive impact shook the ship. This time they heard something new. A tearing sound. Metal screaming. Something was trying to get inside. They're boarding us, Mirai said. Her face was grim. Whatever attacked the ship is coming inside. We need to defend ourselves, Doyun said. He surprised himself with his own determination. Hours ago he was a tired researcher. Now he was fighting for his life in space. Mirai distributed the weapons. Most people had no idea how to use them. She showed them the basics. Point and press. Simple enough. The weapons hummed when activated. They glowed with blue light. Stay together, Mirai commanded. Watch each other's backs. If anything that isn't human comes through those doors, we fire. They didn't have to wait long. The door at the far end of the bay exploded inward. Smoke filled the room. Through it came shapes, large shapes covered in rough, dark scales. They walked on two legs and had long tails. Their faces were reptilian with rows of sharp teeth. They carried weapons that looked more primitive than what the first aliens had. Fire! Mirai shouted. Blue bolts of energy filled the room. The humans fired wildly. Most shots missed. But some connected. The reptilian creatures roared in pain. One fell, then another. The creatures looked shocked. They hadn't expected resistance. Dohyun held his weapon with shaking hands. He pointed it at one of the creatures and pressed the activation panel. The weapon kicked in his hands. A blue bolt shot across the room and hit the creature in the chest. It stumbled backward and collapsed. He had just shot an alien. The thought felt surreal. More creatures poured through the door. But the humans were learning fast. Their aim improved. They started working together without being told. Some provided covering fire while others moved to better positions. Mirai directed them with hand signals and short commands. Teijin crouched behind a container with his device. I'm accessing the ship's systems. The first aliens, they're called Vectari. These attackers are Thornbacks. They're raiders, pirates. Can you lock the doors? Dohyun asked while firing at another Thornback. Working on it. Teijin's fingers moved across the interface rapidly. This is insane. I'm hacking an alien computer system, but it's responding to human logic patterns. I think our brains process information in a way they don't expect. One of the Thornbacks threw a device into the room. It landed near the humans and started beeping rapidly. Yuna saw it and her eyes went wide. Grenade! Get back. Everyone scattered. The device exploded with a loud bang and a flash of light. But it wasn't as powerful as expected. A few people were knocked down, but no one was seriously hurt. The suits they wore seemed to offer some protection. Mirai used the confusion to lead a group around the side. She had been watching how the Thornbacks moved. They were strong, but not particularly smart. They charged straight in. She took her group through a side door and circled behind the attackers. The Thornbacks never saw it coming. Mirai's team fired from behind. The creatures roared and spun around. Now they were caught between two groups of humans. Panic showed in their reptilian eyes. This wasn't supposed to happen. Prey didn't fight back like this. Within minutes, the Thornbacks retreated. They dragged their wounded back through the hole they had made. The humans held their position and kept firing until the last creature disappeared. Silence fell over the bay except for heavy breathing. The humans looked at each other in disbelief. They had won. Against actual aliens with weapons, they had won. Everyone okay? Yuna moved through the group checking on people. A few had minor burns from near misses. One man had hurt his ankle jumping for cover. Nothing life-threatening. Teijin was still focused on his device. I'm getting a lot of information. The ship is badly damaged. The Vectari crew abandoned most positions. The Thornbacks damaged the engines. We're drifting. Can we steer the ship? Dohyun asked. Maybe. If I can figure out the controls. Teijin looked up with a strange expression. There's something else. I found database entries about Earth, about humans. They rated us as primitive. Intelligence level 6 out of 10. Non-threatening. Mirai laughed. It was a harsh sound. We just killed a bunch of alien raiders with their own weapons. I'd say their rating system is broken. That's just it, Taejin said excitedly. I don't think they've ever met a species like us. We adapt too fast. We learn too quickly. Look at what we did in less than an hour. Another alarm started beeping. Different from the first one. Taejin checked his device and his face went pale. We have a bigger problem. Something massive just appeared on the sensors. Another ship. Much larger? More Thornbacks? Someone asked fearfully. No, this one is broadcasting in multiple languages. It's a peacekeeping force. They call themselves the Galactic Concordance. Do-hyun felt hope rise in his chest. Maybe they can help us. Get us home. Or maybe they'll finish what the Vektari started, Mirai said quietly. We don't know anything about galactic politics. We need to be careful. The massive ship appeared through the translucent walls. It dwarfed the Vektari vessel. Lights played across its surface in beautiful patterns. A voice suddenly filled the air. It spoke in sounds no human could make. Then it switched to something else. And something else. Dozens of languages cycling through. Then, impossibly, it spoke Korean. The pronunciation was wrong but understandable. Damaged vessel, this is Concordance Ship Unity. We received your distress call. Prepare for rescue operations. The humans looked at each other. Rescue. The word felt like a dream, but Mirai's warning echoed in Do-hyun's mind. They knew nothing about these aliens. Nothing about their laws or intentions. They were naked children stumbling through a galaxy they didn't understand. Get ready, Do-hyun said to the group. Whatever happens next, we face it together. The Concordance ship docked with the damaged Vektari vessel. Metal scraped against metal. The humans waited in the bay with their stolen weapons ready. They didn't know if they were about to be rescued or captured again. A door materialized in the wall where none had existed before. Do-hyun's breath caught. The technology was beyond anything he had imagined. Through the new opening came figures in white uniforms. They walked on two legs like humans, but that's where the similarity ended. These aliens were tall and thin with smooth gray skin. They had 6 arms arranged in pairs along their torsos. Their heads were oval-shaped with large, dark eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. They moved with a fluid grace that was almost hypnotic. The lead alien raised 2 of its 6 hands in what might have been a peaceful gesture. It wore a device around its neck that began speaking in Korean after a moment of buzzing. Please lower your weapons. We are Concordance peacekeepers. You are safe now. Safe? Mirai kept her weapon up. We were kidnapped from our homes. How do we know you won't do the same? The alien's large eyes blinked slowly. You are human. From planet Earth. Classification shows you are pre-contact species. The Vektari committed serious crimes by abducting you. They will face justice. Where are the Vektari? Do-hyun asked. They fled in escape pods when the Thornbacks attacked. We have retrieved them. They are now in custody. The alien gestured with its middle pair of arms. I am Captain Velis of the Quorum species. Please come aboard our ship. You need medical attention and food. The humans looked at each other. They were exhausted and hungry. The promise of help was tempting, but they had learned not to trust easily. Yuna stepped forward. I'm a medical student. Can I examine your medical facilities first, to make sure they're safe for humans? Captain Velis tilted its head in a gesture that seemed like approval. Your caution is wise. Yes, come. Bring others if you wish. Do-hyun, Mirai, Taejin, and Yuna went with Captain Velis. The Concordance ship was like stepping into another world. Everything was clean and organized. The corridors were wide and well lit. Other aliens walked past them. Some had fur, some had scales. Some were shapes that hurt to look at directly. All of them stopped to stare at the humans. You're quite the curiosity, Captain Velis said through its translator. Humans have never been seen in this part of the galaxy. Most species didn't know you existed. Because we're primitive? Taejin asked with an edge to his voice. Because your planet is far from normal trade routes. And yes, because your technology level suggested you would not achieve space travel for several more generations. Captain Velis paused at a door. But perhaps that assessment requires updating. We monitored your battle with the Thornbacks. Most species would have died. You fought back and won. The medical bay was enormous. Strange equipment filled the room. A being made entirely of crystalline structures approached them. It communicated through musical tones that the translator converted. I am Healer Kess. I can adapt our equipment for human biology if you provide basic information. Yuna spent an hour working with healer Kess. She provided information about human physiology from memory. The healer's equipment scanned her and created a profile. Within a short time, the medical bay was ready to treat humans. The rest of the humans were brought aboard. They were fed with food synthesized to match Earth proteins. The taste was strange but nutritious. They were given quarters to rest in. Soft beds, privacy, safety. But Do-Yun couldn't rest. His mind was racing with questions. He found Captain Velis on the ship's command deck. The room was filled with holographic displays showing stars and data streams. "Captain, what happens to us now?" Do-Hyun asked. "That is complicated." Captain Velis manipulated a display with its 4 upper arms while its lower arms worked other controls. "By concordance law, you should be returned to Earth immediately. Pre-contact species are protected. However, the situation has become more complex." "How?" "The Thornback attack was monitored by several vessels. News of humans fighting off raiders has already spread. Many species are curious about you. Some are concerned." Captain Velis turned its large eyes to Do-Yun. "And there is the matter of how quickly you adapted to alien technology." Taejin entered the command deck carrying his alien device. "I need to show you something, Captain. I've been analyzing the Vectary systems. I've learned to read some of their language. I can navigate about 60% of their database now." Captain Velis's eyes widened. All 6 of its arms stopped moving. "That is impossible. It takes most species months to learn basic alien systems. You've had less than a day." "Human brains are good at pattern recognition," Taejin explained. "We evolved to find patterns in nature, to solve problems with limited information. The Vectary interface uses symbolic logic that's actually similar to some of our computer coding. Once I understood the basic structure, the rest came naturally." "Show me," Captain Velis commanded. Taejin worked the device with confidence now. Symbols appeared and shifted. He navigated through complex menus like he had been using the system for years. Captain Velis watched in what seemed like amazement. "This changes things," the captain said quietly. "The Concordance Council must see this. They must understand what humans are capable of." Over the next few days, the humans settled into life aboard the Concordance ship. They explored with supervised freedom. They learned about the galaxy from the crew. The universe was vast and filled with thousands of species. The Concordance was an alliance of peaceful civilizations dedicated to cooperation and mutual protection. But not everyone in the galaxy was peaceful. Pirates like the Thornbacks existed. So did slavers and warlords. The Concordance protected its members but couldn't be everywhere. Mireille spent time with the ship's security team. She learned about their tactics and training. She showed them human military strategies in return. The aliens were fascinated by concepts like guerrilla warfare and psychological operations. These ideas were new to them. "We fight with honor," explained Torvak, a massive alien with rock-like skin. "We announce ourselves. We meet in open battle. Your way of fighting is different, confusing, but effective." "War isn't about honor," Mireille said bluntly. "It's about surviving. About winning so your people can live. We do what we must." Yuna worked with the medical team. She learned about alien biology and shared human medical knowledge. She was surprised to find that humans healed faster than many species. Human immune systems were aggressive and adaptable. Evolution on Earth had been harsh. It made humans resilient. One evening, the humans gathered in a common room. They had been aboard the Concordance ship for 5 days. They were clean and fed and safe, but they were also restless. "I want to go home," an older woman said. "I have grandchildren. They must think I'm dead." "We all want to go home," Do-Hyun agreed. "But I think we have an opportunity here to learn, to represent humanity." "Represent us to who?" someone asked. "Aliens who think we're primitive?" "Aliens who are rapidly changing that opinion," Taejin said. He had been almost glued to the alien technology since they arrived. "I've been talking to the Concordance scientists. They're shocked by how fast we learn, how flexible our thinking is. Most species specialize. They're good at one type of problem. Humans are generalists. We can do a little bit of everything." "That doesn't mean we should stay here," the older woman insisted. Mireille stood up. "I agree we should go home eventually. But think about what happens when we do. Earth will know aliens exist. That knowledge will change everything. Shouldn't we learn as much as we can first, so we can help our people prepare?" Debate continued late into the night. The group was divided. Some wanted immediate return. Others saw value in staying longer. Do-Hyun felt torn between both sides. The next morning, Captain Velis called them to a meeting. The Concordance Council has made a decision about your situation. They wish to speak with you directly. The humans were brought to a communication chamber. A massive holographic display activated. Dozens of alien faces appeared. Each one represented a different species on the council. They looked at the humans with expressions ranging from curiosity to concern. A being made of flowing energy spoke first. The translator converted its words. Humans of Earth, you have presented us with a unique situation. Normally, pre-contact species are returned home, and their planet is quarantined until they develop space travel naturally. However, you have already integrated with galactic technology. You have fought in space. You have learned our systems. Simple return is no longer sufficient. What are you saying? Do-hyun asked. Another council member spoke. This one looked like a giant insect. We are saying that Earth must be brought into the concordance. But this normally takes years of preparation. Testing, training. We must ensure a species is ready for the responsibilities of galactic citizenship. So test us, Mirai said boldly. Let us prove we're ready. The council members communicated among themselves in languages the translator didn't convert. Finally, the energy being spoke again. We have a proposal. On the world of Axio 7, we maintain a testing facility. New species prove their capabilities there. If you succeed, Earth will be welcomed into the concordance with full benefits. Trade, technology, protection. If you fail, you return home and Earth remains quarantined for another century. And if we refuse? Do-hyun asked. Then you return home now. But Earth remains isolated, no trade, no technology. Axio 7 hung in space like a massive jewel. From the concordance ship, Do-hyun could see it was artificial. Perfect geometric patterns covered its surface. Entire continents were shaped into testing zones. This was no natural world. It was built for one purpose, to judge species. It's beautiful, Yuna whispered beside him. It's terrifying, Do-hyun replied honestly. Captain Velis stood with them at the observation window. Axio 7 has tested hundreds of species over thousands of years. Most pass. Those who fail are returned home to develop further. It is a fair system. What about species that disappeared? Taejian asked. He had been researching the facility's records. Your database shows 6 species in the last century that entered testing and were never seen again. Captain Velis's 6 arms tensed slightly. Equipment failures, accidents, space is dangerous. Or something else, Mirai said quietly. She had also been investigating. Convenient that all 6 species were from resource-rich planets that later got claimed by concordance corporations. Captain Velis turned its large eyes to her. You suspect corruption. That is a serious accusation. I'm just stating facts, Mirai replied. What happens to failed species isn't as clear as you claim. The ship docked at a station orbiting Axio 7. The humans were processed through customs that scanned them with lights and sounds. Officials checked their biological signatures and logged them into databases. Everything was recorded. They were taken to a briefing chamber where they met the other species being tested. The room fell silent when the humans entered. Every alien eye turned to stare at them. A small creature covered in blue fur approached cautiously. It had large ears and walked on 4 legs but could rear up on its hind legs to use its front paws like hands. A translator on its collar spoke. You are the humans? The ones who fought the Thornbacks? Yes, Do-hyun replied. I'm Do-hyun. Who are you? I am Piri of the Urani. We are nervous to meet you. Stories say humans are very dangerous. We're not dangerous, Yuna knelt down to Piri's level. We're just trying to survive like everyone else. Other species introduced themselves. The Siltharians looked like amphibians with smooth, wet skin and large eyes. They moved slowly but spoke with careful precision. The Krikari were insect-like with a hive mind. They spoke in unison, which was unsettling. The Dolvani were massive and strong with honor-based culture. The Fosiri were beings of pure energy contained in special suits. Each species had 30 representatives, 30 chances to prove their worth. The humans noticed they were the only ones who looked concerned about the situation. The other species seemed confident. They had prepared for this for years. The humans had days. An official entered the chamber. It was a Vectari like the ones who had kidnapped them. Do-hyun felt anger rise in his chest. The official seemed to notice and showed something like satisfaction. I am Administrator Kroth, the Vectari said through translation. I oversee testing at Axio 7. You will all be transported to the surface tomorrow. The test will begin immediately. There are 4 categories: survival, intelligence, cooperation, combat. You will be scored in each. The species with the highest total score graduates. The others receive additional training time. What if we fail completely? Asked a Siltharian. That rarely happens, Croth replied. But something in its tone made Do-hyun suspicious. You will all do fine, I'm sure. That night the humans met in their assigned quarters. The rooms were comfortable but clearly monitored. They spoke in whispers. I don't trust that Croth, Mirai said. Something feels wrong about this whole place. Agreed, Taejin said. He had his alien device hidden under his jacket. I've been trying to access Axios 7 systems, but they're much more secure than the Vectari ship. I need more time. We might not have time, Do-hyun said. The tests start tomorrow. We need to focus on succeeding. Whatever else is happening here, we can't investigate if we fail and get sent home. Or disappear like those 6 species, Mirai added darkly. The next morning they were transported to the surface. The descent through Axios 7's atmosphere revealed the true scale of the facility. Massive biomes stretched to the horizon, desert zones, jungle zones, Arctic zones, ocean zones, each perfectly maintained for testing. The humans were dropped in a temperate forest zone along with the other 5 species. The test began immediately. A voice boomed from speakers hidden in the trees. Survival test begins now. You have 48 hours to find water, food, and shelter. The environment contains dangers. Stay alive to pass. The other species immediately split up. Each group went their own direction. The humans stayed together at first. We should spread out like them, someone suggested. No, Mirai said firmly. We're stronger together. We work as a team. That's the human advantage. They established a base camp near a stream. Yuna tested the water using basic methods she remembered from medical training. It was safe to drink. Taejin fashioned tools from rocks and branches. Do-hyun organized search parties to find food. The forest was strange. Trees had purple leaves. Animals moved in the shadows but never came close. Fruits hung from branches, but some were clearly poisonous based on warning colors. A Urani appeared through the trees. It was Piri. The small alien looked exhausted. Please help. My group scattered. I'm lost. I'm scared. The humans brought Piri into their camp. They shared water and food. The small alien cried with gratitude. Why help me? We are competitors. Because it's the right thing to do, Yuna said simply. Night fell and the forest became dangerous. Creatures that glowed in the dark prowled between the trees. The humans built a large fire to keep them away. They took turns on watch. During the night, more aliens appeared seeking help. 2 Siltharians who had gotten injured. A Krekari who had separated from its hive and was panicking. The humans helped them all. They shared their shelter and food. Mirai organized a defense perimeter. Taejin improved their tools. Do-hyun coordinated everyone's efforts. By the second day, the human camp had become a refuge. Even some Dalvani joined them despite being the strongest species there. You have honor, one of them rumbled. You help the weak. This is worthy. The survival test ended with the humans scoring highest. They had thrived while other species merely survived. But more importantly, they had created something unexpected. Cooperation between species. The intelligence test came next. Complex puzzles that required mathematics, logic, and spatial reasoning. The tests were designed for multiple types of thinking. The Siltharians excelled at memory-based challenges. The Fasiri solved energy-based problems instantly, but the humans did something different. They didn't specialize. They worked together on all the problems. When one person got stuck, another saw the solution from a different angle. They combined their knowledge and approaches. Taejin discovered something interesting. These puzzles aren't just testing intelligence. They're testing how species think. Most species have one dominant problem-solving approach. Humans use multiple approaches simultaneously. We're cognitive generalists. The cooperation test should have been straightforward. Work together to achieve goals. But Administrator Croth had designed it with a twist. Resources were limited. Species had to compete for them. It was designed to create conflict. The other species fell into the trap. They competed. They argued. They fought over supplies. The Dalvani used their strength to take what they wanted. The Siltharians tried to negotiate but were ignored. The Fasiri simply took what they could carry. The humans did something different. Do-hyun called a meeting with representatives from every species. This test is designed to make us fight. But what if we refuse? What if we work together and share everything equally? The Dolvani get more because we are stronger, one of the large aliens argued. But the Fosiri need different resources, Dohyun countered, and the Urani need less of everything because they're smaller. If we pool resources and distribute based on need, everyone benefits. It took hours of negotiation. Some species resisted, but eventually they agreed to try. They created a system of fair distribution. They worked together on tasks instead of competing. The test monitors were confused. This had never happened before. Administrator Croth watched from his control room with what looked like anger. The combat test was the final challenge. Each species would face simulated threats. They would be scored on how well they fought and adapted to danger. The humans went first. They entered an arena where robotic enemies appeared. The robots were fast and well-armed. A straight fight would be difficult. So Mirai didn't fight straight. She had the humans split into small teams. They used guerrilla tactics. Hit and run, ambushes, psychological warfare. They made noise in one area to draw enemies and attacked from another direction. They set traps using the environment. The robots were programmed for conventional combat. They couldn't adapt to the chaotic human tactics. Within an hour, the humans had destroyed all the enemies with minimal injuries. The observers were silent. Then applause started from the quorum section. Captain Velis was watching. Soon other species joined the applause. The humans had done something remarkable. That evening, Taijin finally broke through the facility's security. What he found confirmed their worst fears. The 6 species that disappeared hadn't failed. They had been sold. Croth was running a trafficking operation. The arena was massive. Tall walls surrounded a floor covered in artificial terrain. Hills, trenches, scattered cover. Weapons lay everywhere. Energy rifles, blade weapons, explosive devices. Everything needed for species to kill each other. Above the arena, luxury boxes held wealthy aliens who had paid for entertainment. They wanted to see blood, to see species fight for survival. It was barbaric. It was illegal under concordance law, but it was also profitable. Administrator Croth's voice echoed through the arena. Welcome to the final test. Only the strongest survive. Only winners leave Axio 7. Begin. The other species looked at the weapons. The Dolvani were the strongest. They could easily dominate. The Fosiri could blast through energy shields. The Siltharians were fast swimmers if water zones existed. Each species calculated their chances. The humans stood in a group at the center of the arena. They didn't move toward the weapons. Instead, Dohyun stepped forward and raised his hands high. No, he said loudly. His voice carried through the arena. We refuse, Mirai joined him. Then Yuna, then Taijin. All 30 humans formed a circle. They faced outward toward the other species and the watching crowds. We will not fight each other, Dohyun continued. This is not a test. This is murder for profit. We know the truth about the 6 species that disappeared. We know about the trafficking. We will not participate in our own destruction. Administrator Croth's voice came again, angry now. You have no choice. Fight or die. Then we die standing, Mirai said. But we die with honor. We die proving that intelligence and cooperation are stronger than barbarism. The Urani were the first to move. Piri and its people approached the human circle. You saved us in the forest. You shared food when we were hungry. We stand with you. The small aliens joined the human circle. Together they faced the others. The Siltharians hesitated. Then one stepped forward. The humans showed us kindness. They could have competed but chose to help. This is a quality we value. We stand with them. The amphibious aliens joined the circle. It was growing larger. A Krikari drone separated from its hive. It spoke for all of them. We are collective. We understand unity. What humans propose is a greater collective. All species as one. We stand with them. The insect aliens joined. More than half the arena was now united. The Dolvani were conflicted. Their culture valued strength and honor in combat. But they also valued courage. One of their warriors stepped forward. Its voice was deep and resonant. True strength is not in killing the weak. True strength is protecting them. Humans showed us this. We stand with them. The massive aliens joined the circle. Only the Fosiri remained separate. The energy beings floated in their containment suits. They communicated among themselves in pulses of light. Finally, their leader spoke. Logic suggests you will all die. Croth has weapons. He has power. Your stand is admirable but futile. Maybe, Do-hyun agreed. But sometimes the right choice is not the logical one. Sometimes you have to believe that standing together means something. The fossary pulsed with colors. You are either very wise or very foolish. We want to discover which. We stand with you. All 6 species stood together, 180 beings united. The arena fell silent. In the luxury boxes, the wealthy spectators didn't know how to react. This wasn't what they paid for. Administrator Croth appeared on a screen above the arena. The Vectari's insect-like face showed rage. You think unity protects you? You think I care about your moral stand? You are products. Merchandise. You will fight or I will make you fight. Electrical shocks ran through the arena floor. Species cried out in pain. The energy was intense, but the circle held. They supported each other. The strong helped the weak stay standing. Pain compliance, Croth snarled. If you will not fight each other, perhaps pain will convince you. Yuna cried out. The shocks were strong. Others were collapsing. The Urani were too small. The shocks were killing them. Taejin pulled out his hidden device. He had been working on something since they arrived. A virus embedded in harmless data packets, waiting for the right moment. He activated it now. The virus spread through Axios 7 systems like wildfire. It was built on human coding principles. Adaptive, aggressive, unpredictable. The alien security systems couldn't stop it. The electrical shock stopped. The screens went dark. Emergency lights activated. Chaos erupted in the control rooms. Now? Mirai shouted. Everyone move! The united species ran as a group toward the arena exits. The doors were sealed, but the Dulvani were strong. They battered the doors while the Fossiri blasted them with energy. The metal buckled and broke. They poured into the corridors of the facility. Alarms blared everywhere. Security robots activated, but they were programmed for individual threats. They didn't know how to handle a coordinated group of multiple species working together. The humans led the way. Mirai directed tactics. Taejin guided them through the facility using maps from the computer systems. Yuna organized the injured and made sure no one was left behind. They found the communication center. Do-hyun accessed the equipment. We need to broadcast this to every Concordance ship in range. Show them what's happening here. Yuna had been recording everything with a device Taejin modified for her. Hours of footage. Proof of the trafficking. Proof of the illegal arena. Proof of everything. Uploading now, Taejin said. His fingers flew across the alien interfaces, sending to all Concordance frequencies, military, civilian, news services, everyone. The evidence spread across the galaxy. On 100 worlds, people saw what was happening on Axios 7. They saw species standing together. They saw Administrator Croth's crimes. They saw the wealthy spectators in their luxury boxes watching beings forced to fight. The reaction was immediate. Concordance military vessels changed course toward Axios 7. News services broadcast the footage. Public outrage exploded across civilized space. In orbit above the planet, Captain Velas's ship received the transmission. The Quorum captain watched with all 6 of its arms trembling in anger. Prepare boarding teams. We go to the surface now. Administrator Croth tried to flee, but the united species had taken control of the facility. The Dulvani blocked the escape routes. The Fossiri disrupted transport systems. The Krakari's hive mind coordinated perfect coverage of all exits. When Concordance forces arrived, they found the species in control. Croth and his conspirators were in custody. The wealthy spectators were trapped in their luxury boxes. Evidence was preserved. Captain Velas entered the facility with a full security team. It found Do-hyun and the others in the communication center. The Quorum captain looked at them with its large eyes. You have caused a revolution, Captain Velas said quietly. Nothing like this has happened in Concordance history. 6 species working together, exposing corruption at the highest levels, refusing to fight even when forced. We did what was right, Do-hyun replied. He was exhausted. They all were. Sometimes that's all you can do. The Concordance Council is in emergency session, Captain Velas continued. They are debating what this means. What to do about humans. About all of you. Will we be punished? Piri asked nervously. The small Urani had stayed close to Yuna throughout everything. Punished? No. Captain Velas made a gesture with its arms that might have been a smile. You will be honored. All of you. What happened here will change the Concordance. Make it better. You exposed rot that had been hidden for decades. Over the following days, the full extent of the corruption was revealed. Administrator Croth had been trafficking species for years. Hundreds of beings had been sold into slavery. The wealthy spectators included high-ranking concordance officials and corporate leaders. It was a scandal that shook the entire galactic community. The 6 species that stood together became famous. They were called the Unity Coalition. Representatives from each species gave testimony to the Concordance Council. They told their stories. They explained how humans had brought them together. Do-hyun stood before the council and spoke about Earth. We are not perfect. Humans have done terrible things to each other throughout our history. We have wars and cruelty and injustice, but we also have something else. Hope. The belief that we can be better. The willingness to stand up for what's right even when it's hard. The energy being that led the council pulsed with colors. The humans passed no formal test. They broke the rules. They caused chaos. Yet they demonstrated qualities we value above all else. Courage, integrity, compassion, unity. The council voted. It was not unanimous, but it was clear. Earth would be welcomed into the concordance. Not as a probationary member. Not as a minor partner. As a full member with all rights and privileges. More than that, the Unity Coalition would be recognized as an official faction within the concordance. A group dedicated to protecting pre-contact species and vulnerable populations. Humans would be founding members. When the decision was announced, the 6 species celebrated together. They had entered Axios 7 as competitors. They left as family, but the question remained. What would happen when they returned to their home worlds? How would their people react? How would Earth react to the news that humans were now part of a galactic civilization? Do-hyun looked at his friends. Mireille with her military bearing. Taejin with his love of alien technology. Yuna with her compassion for all beings. The other humans who had survived the concordance ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. Do-hyun stood at the observation window and stared at the small blue planet. Home. He had been gone for 3 months, but it felt like years. You are nervous, Captain Velis observed. The quorum captain had volunteered to lead the first contact mission. It felt appropriate given everything they had been through together. Terrified, Do-hyun admitted. We're about to change human history. Nothing will ever be the same after today. Behind them, the other humans gathered. 25 had chosen to return to Earth. The rest would remain in space as ambassadors. Among those staying were Mirai, Taejin, and Yuna. They had found purpose among the stars. Earth satellites have detected us, reported a crew member. They are attempting communication on multiple frequencies. Open a channel, Captain Velis commanded. Let them see us, the view screen activated. A room full of human military officers appeared. They looked shocked to see aliens. Then they saw the humans standing among the crew. And confusion turned to stunned silence. An older man in a military uniform found his voice first. This is General Park of the United Nations Security Council. Who are you and what have you done with our people? General, Do-hyun stepped forward. I'm Do-hyun Kim, a researcher from Seoul. 3 months ago, I and 50 other humans were abducted by aliens. We're here to come home and to introduce Earth to the Galactic Concordance. The general's face went through several expressions. You expect us to believe that? This could be some elaborate deception. It's not, said another human, an older woman named Haeun. I'm from Busan. I have 2 children. Please let me talk to them. Let me prove we're real. Over the next hours, the returning humans made contact with their families. The conversations were broadcast worldwide. People watched as their missing loved ones appeared on screens talking from an alien spaceship. The proof was undeniable. Earth went into chaos. Governments called emergency sessions. Religious leaders debated what this meant. Scientists demanded information. The public was divided between excitement and fear. The concordance ship maintained orbit while negotiations continued. Captain Velis was patient. First contact is always difficult. We have time. Do-hyun gave countless interviews to Earth media. He explained what happened. How they were taken. How they fought back. How they exposed corruption. How Earth was now part of a galactic community. What does the concordance want from us? A news anchor asked. Partnership, Do-hyun replied. They offer technology and knowledge. They offer protection from hostile species. In return, they ask for cooperation, for Earth to join their alliance of peaceful civilizations. And if we refuse, then we remain isolated. But we would still know aliens exist. That knowledge alone will change everything. After 2 weeks, the United Nations agreed to formal first contact. Captain Velas and a delegation of aliens would land at UN headquarters. They would present their proposal officially. The landing was broadcast to every country. Billions of people watched as the alien vessel descended through the atmosphere. It landed gently in a plaza that had been cleared for the occasion. Captain Velas emerged first. The quorum's 6 arms and unusual appearance caused gasps from the crowd. But the captain moved with such grace and obvious intelligence that fear quickly turned to curiosity. Behind Velas came representatives from other species. A Siltharian, a Urani, a Krekari drone, a Dolvani warrior, a Fossery in its containment suit. The Unity Coalition stood together. The humans emerged last. Dohyun led them. He wore clothing that was half Earth style and half Concordance uniform, a symbol of both worlds. The UN Secretary General greeted them formally. "Welcome to Earth. You have brought news that will change our civilization forever." "Not just news," Captain Velas replied through its translator. "We bring opportunity, a chance for humanity to join something greater than itself." The formal presentation took place in the UN General Assembly. Every nation sent representatives. The chamber was packed with world leaders, scientists, and media. Captain Velas explained the Concordance. Its history spanning thousands of years, its membership of hundreds of species, its dedication to peace and mutual prosperity. The captain also explained the dangers. Hostile species existed, pirates and slavers like the Thornbacks, warlords who conquered primitive planets. "Earth is vulnerable," Velas said bluntly. "Your technology is advanced for a pre-contact species but primitive by galactic standards. Without protection, hostile forces will eventually find you. When they do, you will face what the humans aboard my ship faced: abduction, slavery, or worse." Fear rippled through the assembly, but Velas continued. "However, if you join the Concordance, you gain protection. Our military fleets will defend Earth. Our laws will protect your people. You will have access to technology that can solve many of your problems. Clean energy, medical advances, space travel. What is the cost?" asked the Chinese ambassador. "What must we give in return?" "Participation," Velas replied. "You must follow Concordance law. You must contribute to collective defense. You must open your planet to trade and cultural exchange, and you must prove you are ready for these responsibilities." Dohyun stood to speak. "Earth is ready. The humans who were taken, we proved that. We adapted to alien technology in days. We fought off raiders. We exposed corruption. We united 6 species in an unprecedented alliance. If we could do that, imagine what all of humanity can achieve." Debate raged for days. Some nations wanted to join immediately. Others were cautious. Some were frightened of losing sovereignty. Religious groups worried about the implications. Conspiracy theorists claimed it was all a trick. During this time, the aliens were given limited access to Earth. Small groups visited different countries under heavy security. They met with scientists and shared basic knowledge. They showed technology that seemed like magic to humans. Tajin worked with Earth engineers. He demonstrated alien computers and manufacturing techniques. The engineers were amazed at how intuitive the technology was once you understood the basic principles. Yuna visited hospitals and met with doctors. She shared medical knowledge that could cure diseases. She showed scanning technology that could detect cancer in seconds. The medical community was overwhelmed with possibilities. Mirai met with military leaders. She explained galactic security threats. She demonstrated alien weapons and defense systems. The military understood immediately why Earth needed protection. Piri, the small Urani, became an unexpected ambassador. The alien's cute appearance and friendly personality made it a media sensation. Piri gave interviews and appeared on children's programs. It helped make aliens seem less frightening to the general public. After a month, the UN took a vote. It was not unanimous. Some nations abstained. A few voted against, but the majority voted yes. Earth would join the Galactic Concordance. The celebration was global. In Seoul, Do-Hyun's family watched as he stood on the UN stage. His mother cried. His father smiled with pride. His sister posted on social media that her brother was literally saving the world. But not everyone was happy. Protests erupted in some cities. People feared losing their culture, their identity. Some religious groups declared the aliens were demons. Some governments refused to recognize the UN's authority to make such a decision. Captain Velis addressed these concerns in a global broadcast. Change is frightening. We understand this. Every species goes through this transition. But you are not losing your humanity. You are expanding it. You are becoming part of something larger while remaining uniquely yourselves. The concordance began a careful integration process. Earth would have 5 years of probationary membership. During this time, technology would be shared gradually. Ambassadors would be trained. Legal systems would be harmonized. Cultural exchange programs would begin. Do-hyun was offered the position of Earth's primary representative to the concordance. He accepted. It meant staying in space, living aboard stations and ships, rarely coming home. But it also meant helping guide humanity's future. He returned to Seoul one last time before leaving permanently. His family gathered in their small apartment, the same place he had fallen asleep 3 months ago before everything changed. His mother held his hands. "Are you sure about this? You could stay. Let someone else do this work." "I have to go," Do-hyun said gently. "I've seen the galaxy now. I know what's out there. Both the wonders and the dangers. Earth needs people who understand both, people who can guide us through this transition." His father nodded. "You were always meant for great things. Even when you were small, I knew you would do something important." His sister hugged him tightly. "You better come visit, and bring cool alien friends. I want to meet more species." Do-hyun laughed. It felt good to laugh. "I promise. Earth is my home. I'll never forget that." The next day he returned to Captain Velis's ship. Mirai, Taejin, and Yuna were waiting for him. They had become his second family. "His space family, ready?" Mirai asked. "Ready," Do-hyun confirmed. The ship left Earth orbit carrying the first official human delegation to the concordance. Below them, the blue planet turned slowly. Billions of humans going about their lives, now aware they were not alone in the universe, now part of something cosmic. On the ship, representatives from the Unity Coalition gathered to welcome 6 months had passed since Earth joined the concordance. Do-hyun stood in the observation lounge of the Unity Coalition's flagship and watched a sunrise on an alien world. The star was orange instead of yellow. The planet below had purple oceans. Even after all this time, the strangeness of it never got old. "Commander Kim," a voice said behind him. It still felt weird being called Commander. But the Unity Coalition needed leadership structure, and somehow Do-hyun had become one of the leaders. He turned to see Ensign Bora, a young human who had joined the coalition 3 months ago. She was one of hundreds of humans now working in space. Earth's integration was happening faster than anyone expected. "What is it, Ensign?" "Captain Velis requests your presence on the bridge. We're approaching the Helios system. The new species we're here to contact." Do-hyun followed her to the bridge. The ship was a marvel of combined technology. Concordance design enhanced with human innovations. Taejin had helped with the upgrades. The engineer had proven that humans had an intuitive understanding of making alien technology work better. The bridge was busy with activity. Multiple species worked at different stations. A Siltharian monitored sensors. A Krekari drone coordinated communications through its hive mind. A Dulvani warrior managed weapon systems. 2 more humans worked at navigation and science stations. Captain Velis stood at the center, its 6 arms moving across holographic displays. "Do-hyun, good. Look at this." The main view screen showed the Helios system. 3 planets orbited the orange star. The second planet showed signs of civilization, cities, agriculture, primitive spacecraft in orbit. "They're barely past their industrial age," Taejin reported from his station. "Technology level similar to Earth in the 1960s. They have nuclear weapons but haven't destroyed themselves yet." "That's promising. Have they detected us?" Do-hyun asked. "Yes, they're attempting communication." Very excitedly. Mirai smiled from the tactical station. "They've been trying to contact alien life for decades. They're going to be thrilled. Or terrified," Yuna added from medical. "First contact is always unpredictable." Captain Velis made a decision. "We proceed carefully. Do-hyun, you will lead the first contact team. Your experience with Earth makes you ideal for this." "Agreed," Do-hyun said. "I'll take Piri with me. And Bora. Having another human will help if they need to see our species succeeded." They took a small shuttle to the planet's surface. The local species had designated a landing zone at their capital city. As they descended, Do-hyun could see the planet was beautiful. Green forests, blue rivers, white clouds. It reminded him of Earth. The shuttle landed in a plaza surrounded by massive buildings. Thousands of the local species waited behind barriers. They were bipedal with 4 arms and smooth skin that shifted colors based on emotion. Their faces had large eyes and small mouths. They looked nervous but excited. Do-hyun stepped out first. The crowd gasped. He raised his hands in what he hoped was a peaceful gesture. Greetings. I am Commander Do-hyun Kim of the Unity Coalition. We come in peace. A translator device handled the conversion of languages. The locals had provided enough of their language for the concordant systems to build a working translation. Several locals approached. They wore robes decorated with symbols of authority. One stepped forward. Its skin shifted to bright blue. Welcome, beings from the stars. I am Speaker Lauren of the United Nations of Helios. We have dreamed of this day for generations. Piri bounced forward on its small legs. The Urani's cute appearance made the locals smile. You have a beautiful world. We are happy to meet you. The crowd cheered. The tension broke. First contact was succeeding. Over the following days, Do-hyun and his team met with Helios leaders. They explained the concordance. They warned about the dangers of space. They offered protection and membership. Why help us? Speaker Lauren asked. What do you gain? Do-hyun thought about how to answer. 6 months ago, my species was in your position. We were contacted by the concordance. We were afraid. We didn't know if we could trust them, but we took the chance. Now humanity is thriving. We have technology that's solving problems we thought were impossible. We have friends among the stars. We have purpose, and in return, we contribute what we can. Humans are good at adapting, at solving problems in creative ways. We've helped improve concordance technology. We've helped negotiate disputes between species. We've helped protect vulnerable worlds from pirates and slavers. Do-hyun paused. That's what civilizations do. We help each other. Speaker Lauren's skin shifted to green. And if we refuse, then we leave. We'll mark your system as protected under concordance law. Pirates will be warned away, but you'll be on your own for development. It might take you centuries to achieve what we can give you in years. The Helios government debated for a week. Unlike Earth, they decided unanimously to join. Their culture valued community over individualism. The idea of a galactic community appealed to them strongly. The celebration was beautiful. The Helios people filled their cities with lights and music. They welcomed the Unity Coalition as honored guests. Children drew pictures of the aliens. Adults asked endless questions about the galaxy. Bora stood with Do-hyun watching the celebrations. This is what we were meant to do, isn't it? Humanity, I mean. We're good at bringing people together. Maybe, Do-hyun replied. Or maybe we just understand what it's like to be alone and scared. So we don't want anyone else to feel that way. Back on the ship, Captain Velas called a meeting of the senior staff. The Concordance Council has sent new orders. They want the Unity Coalition to investigate something unusual. A star map appeared showing a region of space far from Concordance territory. 3 months ago, a science vessel detected strange readings in this area. Energy signatures that don't match any known technology. They sent a probe. It didn't return. They sent another. Same result. The Council believes something is out there. Something we haven't encountered before. Could be dangerous, Mirai said. Could be a trap. Could be a new species, Taejin countered. Something that needs help. Or something that's the threat, Yuna added quietly. Captain Velas's eyes focused on Do-hyun. The Council chose us because of our record, because we've proven we can handle the unexpected. What do you think, Commander? Do-hyun studied the star map. The region was unexplored, unknown. Everything humanity had accomplished so far was about adaptation and courage. This would test both. We go, he decided. Carefully, but we go. If there's a new species out there, they need to know the concordance exists. If there's a threat, we need to identify it before it reaches populated space. The journey took 2 weeks at maximum speed. The ship traveled through empty space between spiral arms. Out here, stars were sparse. It felt lonely, isolated. The crew felt the weight of distance from civilization. Taejin monitored sensors obsessively. The energy readings are getting stronger. Whatever it is, it's massive, bigger than anything in the concordance databases. A ship, Mirai asked. Maybe, or a station, or something else entirely. They dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the anomaly. What they saw made everyone stop and stare. A structure floated in space. But calling it a structure was like calling a galaxy a collection of stars. It was technically true, but completely inadequate. The thing was enormous, larger than a planet. It was made of materials that reflected light in impossible ways. Geometric patterns covered its surface, patterns that hurt human eyes to look at directly. "What is it?" Bora whispered. "Scanning," Tejan said. His voice was shaking. "I'm getting readings that don't make sense. The materials aren't in any database. The energy output is off the scale. This thing could power every civilization in the Concordance for 1,000 years. Is it a weapon?" Mirai had her hand near the weapons controls. "I don't think so. There are no obvious weapon ports. No shield emitters. It's just sitting here, waiting." Captain Velis made a decision. "We send a shuttle. Small team. Make contact if possible. Learn what this is." "I'll go," Do-hyun volunteered immediately. "As will I," Captain Velis said. "This requires command presence." Mirai insisted on coming for security. Tejan came to analyze the technology. Piri came because the small Urani had become essential for making other species feel comfortable. 5 beings from different species approaching the unknown together. The shuttle approached the massive structure slowly. As they got closer, details became visible. Openings in the surface. Lights that pulsed in complex rhythms. Symbols carved into the material that resembled mathematics but were far more complex. "I'm detecting a docking port," Tejan said. "It's adapting to our shuttle. The structure is alive somehow, or at least responsive." They docked. The shuttle connected perfectly to an airlock that formed specifically for them. The doors opened and they stepped into the structure. Inside was beyond description. Corridors stretched in directions that seemed to ignore normal geometry. The walls glowed with soft light. The air was breathable but tasted strange. Musical tones echoed from everywhere and nowhere. They walked through the corridors following lights that seemed to guide them. Eventually they reached a massive chamber. At its center floated a sphere of pure light. As they approached, the light pulsed and a voice filled the chamber.